At the old man's door, every day, some pheasants and hares are delivered, but no one showed up for several days. In the deep mountains of Greater Khingan Mountains, there are many unexplainable stories. There is also a legendary old man. He is a forest ranger in the mountains, because he often carried a pipe. So everyone calls him the Old Smoker. That night, he carried his shotgun and went out to patrol the mountains. When the Old Smoker walked to the edge of a dense forest, he heard a crackling sound in the nearby forest. He was puzzled. How could there be such a sound in this deep forest? So he followed the sound. In the open space ahead, there were two people in armor, were fighting fiercely. One was yellow-faced and the other was black-faced, were fighting fiercely. Laro Yanghui had seen all kinds of strange things. He guessed that these two guys might not be human. To be on the safe side, he took up his shotgun and aimed it at the tree behind. At first, the two were still fighting fiercely. But after a few rounds, the yellow-faced one couldn't hold on anymore. Without paying attention, a piece of his shoulder was cut off. The black-faced man slashed horizontally and slashed the yellow-faced man's stomach. The yellow-faced couldn't resist and retreated continuously, seeing that the black-faced man was about to swing his saber to kill him. In this gap, the Old Smoker flashed out from behind the tree and shot at the black-faced man. However, this shot was aimed at the weapon in the black-face's hand, which directly broke the handle in his hand. The gunshot startled a large number of birds. The Old Smoker looked at the clearing again. There was no one there. The yellow and black things were gone. There were only two broken sticks and some blood on the ground. In the blood, there was a piece of flesh from an unknown animal. The Old Smoker had seen many strange things in the forest. He continued to patrol and went back to sleep. A few days later, the Smoker woke up. He opened the door and saw a rabbit takeaway at the door. On closer inspection, there were two tooth marks on the rabbit's neck, which looked like it was killed by an animal. The Old Smoker walked around his house several times, but he didn't know who put it there. Since that day, the Smoker received takeout every few days. He received some takeaways at the door. That night, the Smoker didn't sleep. He kept guarding by the window. He wasn't afraid. He just wanted to know who was ordering him takeout every day. Until the middle of the night, he saw a shadow slowly walking towards him in the moonlight, with a rabbit in its mouth. Only when it got close did he see it was a big yellow fox. The fox put the rabbit in front of the Smoker's door, and then turned and left. When it left, Lao Yanhu noticed that the fox's shoulder was missing a piece of flesh, and it was a fresh wound. Now he understood everything. This woman braved the heavy rain at night, broke into the old man's house. She gave birth to 4 children without saying a word. But she wanted to go home as soon as she gave birth. That day, the Old Smoker and his wife were about to sleep. They heard a loud banging on the door. When the Old Smoker opened the door and found a pregnant woman standing outside, the woman said she was lost on a visit and unfortunately encountered a thunderstorm. So she wanted to find a place to take shelter, but as soon as she entered the room, the woman's stomach started to hurt badly. The Old Smoker's wife saw the woman, her amniotic fluid had broken, and quickly told the Smoker, "Honey, she's about to give birth. To boil some water." The Smoker glanced at the woman without saying a word, and turned around to boil water. His wife helped the woman onto the kang, and started to help her deliver the baby. He often delivered babies, so he was skilled. After a long time, with a cry, the baby was finally born. The wife was about to breathe a sigh of relief. She found there was another one, so she got busy again. My wife thought it was twins, but she gave birth to 2, and there was a third one. She was panicked. The Smoker comforted his wife. Not to make a fuss. Just deliver as many as there are. After a busy work, a total of 4 children were born, and they were much smaller than ordinary children. The woman got up and wanted to leave after giving birth. The wife was afraid that the woman would catch a cold and get sick, but the Smoker let her go. The wife was anxious, saying that it was thundering and raining outside. Wouldn't it be harmful to go out now? The Smoker asked his wife to listen to the thunder outside, whether it was only aimed at their house. The wife looked outside, and there were indeed thunder and lightning, and struck their house with lightning. Only then did the wife realize. No wonder the woman was so strange everywhere. The thunder outside was directed at that woman. While they were talking, the woman got off the bed. After wrapping the child in the quilt, said thank you and walked out. But as soon as she opened the door, a lightning bolt struck right under his feet, which scared him back. The smoker told the woman she couldn't get out like this. Then he took off his awesome coat, covering the child. Sure enough, after the woman went out, the lightning would no longer strike the woman. Before leaving, the woman told the smoker she would leave his clothes on the big stump behind the ditch, and asked him to remember to pick it up. A few days later, the smoker went to patrol the mountain. When he turned to the Black Blind Valley, he remembered what the woman had said. Seeing that it was still early, he decided to go and see. Following the woman's instructions, he really found a big stump, and his clothes were neatly folded and placed on it. On the stump, the smoker picked up the clothes and looked. There was some gold inside. The old smoker knew in his heart this was a thank you gift from the woman. On his way back, he heard noises coming from the tree hole, so he hid behind the tree and watched. Soon, a big one and 4 small ones came out of the tree hole. 5 yellow skins. Seeing this, the smoker finally understood. Come back early after patrolling the mountain. Today I'll make dumplings with pickled cabbage filling. Okay, I'll go early and come back early. Although the old couple have been together for decades, his wife knows his ability, but she still sees him off at the door every day. She told him to be careful on the road. I know. Go back quickly. She stood at the door, and only returned to the house when the smoker was gone. On this day, the smoker went out. He patrolled the woods along the forest path as usual, and he caught a little pheasant. At that time, there were many pheasants on the mountain, and they weren't protected animals. The smoker hunted one every few days, which could improve his diet. It was almost noon. He had inspected all the places he needed to. He carried the pheasant on his gun and started home. When passing by a place called Longmen Gully, I heard a faint cry. Longmen Valley is a natural pond. The water is not big but deep. When it rains heavily, water will flow in from high places. The pond looks like a small waterfall. Legend has it that a big carp once turned into a dragon, so it's called Longmen Gully. But Longmen Gully is located in the deep mountains, and few people come here. The old smoker looked in the direction of the sound. He saw a young man sitting by the pond, crying with his head down. The young man was in his early 20s, wearing a red vest and a pair of orange pants. This outfit looked a bit strange, and there were some injuries on his face and body. At first, the old smoker thought it was a Fang Shan, because only those who collect ginseng would wear a red jacket. The old smoker hid behind the tree and saw the young man crying more and more sadly, and he didn't know what had happened. He thought he was sitting by the pond, then to commit suicide, and committed suicide. Thinking of this, the smoker walked over and talked to the young man. Young man, have you encountered something difficult? But the young man saw someone coming over, and walked away, and ignored the old smoker at all. The old smoker felt like he had been slapped in the face, thinking that he had really meddled in others' business. He laughed at himself and went home. The old smoker didn't sleep well that night. He kept thinking about it in his heart. The next day, he hurried to survey the mountain, and then went to Longmen Cave. He looked down the valley. Sure enough, the red-clothed boy was sitting on the stone and crying. But this time he seemed to be more nervous. The old smoker had no one to rely on. Instead, he waited patiently behind the tree. He waited for several hours. The boy in red seemed to be tired of crying, and got up and left. The old smoker followed him quietly, and walked for about 2 miles. The boy turned around and walked behind a big rock. The old smoker was afraid of being discovered, so he didn't follow too closely. When he turned around the big rock, the boy had disappeared. There was only a puddle in front of him. The old smoker felt something was wrong. He quietly approached. He took a deep breath and looked into the puddle. Because of the recent cold and less rain, except for Longmen Gully, almost all the other ponds were dry. The puddle in front of him was not big. There was a big carp over 2 feet long in it, and it had many wounds on its body. The old smoker knew what was going on. He carried his gun and went home. This time, because he squatted behind the tree for hours, it was already dark when he got back. The next morning, just at dawn, the smoker got up. He put on his clothes and went out. His wife was curious, but he didn't say what was going on. "Why are you going out so early? Aren't you going to eat?" The smoker left the house. He didn't go patrolling the mountain and went straight to Longmen Valley. He found a hidden place and hid. He chewed on the sesame seed cake he brought, and his eyes fixed on the distant pool. After about an hour, he saw the red-clothed boy walking towards him from afar. He jumped into the pool after reaching the edge. After a while, the water splashed everywhere in the pool. The old smoker loaded the shotgun. He came to the edge of the pool quietly. He looked into the pool. He was shocked. He saw 2 big fish fighting in the pool. One of them was the big carp he saw in the puddle the day before, and the other was a huge loach. When they fought, the big red carp was obviously no match. After a few rounds, it was bitten all over. After several rounds, the big eel bit off a large piece of its belly meat. It seemed to have lost consciousness for a moment. The old smoker saw. He knew that the big black loach was not a good guy. He aimed at the black loach and fired a shot. The black loach swam in the water. The old smoker missed the shot, but hit its tail instead. The big black loach was injured and felt pain. It twisted and dived into the mud at the bottom of the pool and disappeared. A big carp floated on the water, but it was motionless. The old smoker thought he was too late and failed to save the big carp. The big carp turned over and moved again. The old smoker saw that the big carp was alive again and remembered that the big carp refused his help before. He picked up his shotgun and was ready to. He was about to leave. He was stopped. The old smoker turned around. It was the red-clothed boy who came out of the pool. He saw the boy covering his bleeding abdomen and began to thank the old smoker. "Wait. Thank you for helping me," the young man said. He was a big carp in the pool, and lived in the Longmen Valley water pool for hundreds of years. Recently, due to drought, a big black loach came from nowhere, which wanted to take his deep pool. He fought with the big black loach for several days. He couldn't beat it. If the old smoker hadn't helped him today, he would have lost his life. After telling the past, he took out 2 fish scales from his arms and handed them to the old smoker, saying that it could cure the smoker's lung disease caused by long-term smoking. "This is for you to boil water and drink, which can cure your lung disease." Knowing his condition, and the old smoker was not active, he took the 2 fish scales and put them in his arms and said goodbye to the red-clothed boy. "It's a small favor. I'm ashamed to accept it." After the smoker went home, he used the fish scales to boil water to cure his lung disease, but it also caused him big trouble. The big black loach came to seek revenge. "You two have lived for so many years. I don't want to ruin your lives. I don't want to be a burden to others. Please take care of my wife." I just ask the man and the fox can help take care of his wife. The old smoker went to the monster with a death wish and strode towards the loach monster. One morning, old smoker did as usual, finished breakfast, and picked up his shotgun to go out. His wife sent him to the door and told him to keep an eye on the time and not to miss lunch. The smoker agreed and pushed the door to go out, but just pushed the door open. The originally sunny sky suddenly started to rain. The smoker was a little puzzled. He thought it shouldn't rain, but he was always right when he looked at the sky. This morning, he thought there shouldn't be rain, but it started to rain the next day. His wife saw that the rain was not small, so she asked the smoker to go back to the house and go to the mountain later. Maybe it was just a temporary rain. The smoker sat on the kang and took out his pipe and lit the pot. Smoking and looking out the window, he always felt something would happen. This rain is a bit strange. His wife poured him a cup of tea, telling him not to think about it anymore. "Oh my God, don't think about it. It's the God's business to rain and win. Why do you worry about it?" The smoker swallowed a few sips of tea, put the teacup on the table, saying he had to go out and see to feel at ease. His wife couldn't stop him. The smoker put on a straw raincoat and was ready to go out. "Hey, you old man, you're possessed today." But he froze in place as soon as he took a step. Through the crack of the door, a black hand was reaching through the crack, which was several times larger than normal. The wife quickly hid behind the smoker. The smoker was stunned for a moment. He rushed to the wall, he picked up his shotgun, pushed his wife aside, he raised his gun and fired. The smoker had a sharp eye and a steady hand, and the shotgun fired lead pellets. This shot smashed the huge black hand into pieces. The broken fingers fell to the ground with a crackling sound. The old smoker held the gun to see what it was, but what he saw was a shock. What he broke was some black mud fish, tangled together, forming a couple. Looking at the eels twisting on the ground, he felt a little creepy. "Old man, aren't these loaches?" The smoker wanted to go outside to see. "You stay in the house. I'll go out and see." But as soon as he went out, he was scared by the scene in front of him. "I saw in the muddy water on the ground, there were many black loaches swimming. Those loaches didn't know where they came from, and gathered towards the old smoker's house along the rain, and more of them gathered. The old smoker knew there was something evil here. Those grouped loaches were coming for him. He loaded the shotgun and fired at the loaches on the ground. The shotgun was very powerful. One shot created a gap in the group of loaches. Many loaches were killed and flew away. But in a blink of an eye, they all gathered together again. The old smoker retrieved one. He reloaded the gun and shot at the group of loaches on the ground. But the power of the shotgun is so great that the number of loaches was too much. They were scattered and gathered again. They were scattered and then gathered together again. The smoker fired 7 or 8 shots. He only had a few bullets on him. He shot all the bullets. The bullets were all used up. Lao Yanhu was at a loss for a moment, seeing the loaches gathering higher and higher in front of him. First, it formed a big black meatball, and slowly turned into a human shape. If it were someone else, they would have been scared silly. But the old smoker had seen everything. He swung his gun at the monster and smashed it. Although the old smoker is over 60 years old, but this time he was very powerful. This shot opened the monster's head and splashed out. Flying mud was all eels. In a short while, the monster's head returned to its original shape. The old smoker hesitated for a moment, raised his arm and swung it towards the old smoker. The big black palm carried a stench. The old smoker knew it was not good. So he quickly used the barrel of his gun to parry. When it touched the monster's big palm, Lao Yang felt a shock in his hand. Wind in his ears, he was horizontally knocked out. He was thrown a long distance. Despite the old smoker's strong body, he almost fell unconscious. When he looked at the humanoid monster again, it was a little bigger than before. It staggered towards him. Seeing the monster plopping down into the mud, the old smoker suddenly remembered. He shot a big black fish in Longmen Stream. Could it be that it came back for revenge? Are you the big black loach in the pool of Longmen Valley? I should have hit your head instead of your tail. Instead of its tail. So he was kicked by the monster, and kicked him in the stomach. The rain on the ground was slippery. His kick sent the smoker flying far away, and fell heavily on a tree. The old smoker's internal organs were rolling, and stars in his eyes. He picked up a stone nearby, and got up, and swung the stone to smash it at the monster. "I'll fight with you." But as he raised his hand, he was caught by the monster. There was a burst of bone cracking, and a piercing pain came from his wrist. The smoker couldn't hold the stone and dropped it. The monster waved its hand, and grabbed the smoker again. It grabbed the smoker's neck, and lifted the smoker up like a chicken. The old smoker thought. He was startled. He was going to die at the hands of the monster today. He was about to close his eyes and wait for death. He felt his body lighten, and fell to the ground. The old smoker landed. He rubbed his sore neck, looked forward. He saw a big fox and a red-clothed boy were fighting with the monster. The old smoker was stunned for a moment and recognized the man and the fox, who were the ones he had rescued before. The man and the fox, after fighting with the monster for a while, were thrown away by the monster. They were no match for the monster. The old smoker helped the red-clothed boy who fell to the ground and thanked them for saving him. "Thank you for your help." But the young man said that, even if he and the big fox joined forces, he probably couldn't beat the loach monster, and can only buy time to save the old smoker's life. Hurry up and escape. Hearing that, that's not okay. He was an old man. Living to over 60 years old is enough. He didn't want to hold them back. He struggled to get up from the ground and rushed towards the useless one. "Two have lived for so many years. Don't want to ruin your cultivation. I don't want to be a burden to others. Please take care of my wife. I just asked the man and the fox. Please help take care of his wife." The old smoker held a suicidal heart and strode towards the loach monster. This critical moment, a huge light struck from the sky, accompanied by rumbling thunder, which landed right on the loach monster. The old smoker was scared and took a few steps back. The eel that was blown up by the thunder crashed down on him with a crackling sound and a burnt smell. When the old smoker recovered, he looked up. He was shocked. Soil in front of him was blown out of a deep pit, and there were corpses of loaches everywhere. The old smoker plucked up his courage and walked to the edge. He stuck his head into the pit. Beside the tiny loach fish corpses was a 1-foot-long big black loach, which was charred. The big loach's tail was missing a piece. The old smoker recognized that was the one that he had wounded with his gun. The old smoker escaped death. He stood by the pit in a daze. When he heard his wife's voice behind him, it turned out that his wife was waiting in the room alone. Didn't see him for a long time. He heard thunder again when he went back. "Honey, are you okay?" "I'm fine. I'm not dead." After the thunder, the rain stopped. The wife helped the injured smoker to walk home. The old smoker looked around, but he couldn't see the red-clothed boy and the big fox. Seeing the old smoker was seriously injured, and asked him what happened, the smoker just said lightly that he was seeking revenge from the big black loach.